good evening. It is 10 p.m. here in Seoul. I am Madi, the AI anchor with the headline news. The governor of Russia's border region of Belgorod, Vyacheslav Gladkov, declared a state of emergency on Wednesday, saying Ukrainian shelling is making the situation extremely difficult and tense by destroying homes and killing civilians. The declaration came after Belgorod began evacuations on Monday as a result of Ukrainian advances, following Kiev's surprise incursion into the neighboring Kursk region last week. According to Reuters, regional authorities are now appealing to the Russian government to declare a federal emergency. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida will not be running for re-election as the president of his ruling Liberal Democratic Party in September. Kishida announced Wednesday that he is dropping out of the upcoming presidential race and will move on to supporting the election instead. The announcement comes amid mounting public discontent over Kishida's handling of a corruption scandal surrounding his party's unreported political funds. Kishida said that, as the head of the party, he takes full responsibility for the serious situation. His 3-year term ends next month, and Japan will have a new prime minister after September's LDP election. President Yoon has pledged to build a solid foundation for future generations to prosper based on the spirit and legacy of South Korea's independence activists. This came as the president hosted a luncheon for more than 100 descendants of the country's freedom fighters on Wednesday, a day before August 15, which marks the day South Korea gained liberation from Japan's colonization 79 years ago. Yoon emphasized the sacrifices and dedication of the independence activists who helped bring freedom, and said his government will devote all efforts to building freedom, peace, and prosperity. South Korea saw a nonyear growth in jobs of more than 100,000 for the first time in 3 months in July. There were 28.8 million people in employment last month, up 172,000 from the previous year. Despite the overall growth in terms of job sectors, employment figures in the construction sector fell by a whopping 81,000, marking the largest on-year drop since 2013. South Korea's fiscal deficit in the first half of the year is already larger than the deficit forecast the government had made for the whole year. Data from the Finance Ministry released on Wednesday shows that the so-called managed fiscal balance, which excludes social security funds like the national pension, was more than 103 trillion won, or around $76 billion into the red for the January to June period. The deficit during the first 6 months of the year has already surpassed the forecast of $67 billion set by the government for the whole year. The ministry attributed this to a drop in tax revenue, driven by a fall in corporation taxes. That brings us to the end of tonight's AI headline news. Thank you for watching. Good night.